It was 4:00 a.m. on a quiet Friday morning in March 1992. A 21-year-old nun named Sister Abhaya woke up before dawn. She was excited, nervous, determined. Her exams were coming up and she wanted to do well. She wanted to make her family proud. She wanted to serve God with everything she had. She stretched. She said a silent prayer. She got out of bed, put on her slippers, and walked toward the kitchen to get some water to wake herself up. She was never seen alive again. By sunrise, her body was found at the bottom of a well. The police called it suicide. Her family knew better. The nuns knew better. The entire state of Kerala knew better. For nearly 3 decades, this case baffled investigators. Witnesses disappeared. Evidence was destroyed. Powerful people tried to bury the truth. And then, in the most unlikely twist of all, a thief became the hero. This is the story of Sister Abhaya. A story of innocence, betrayal, corruption, and a justice that took 28 years to finally arrive. Before we dive into this shocking story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The year was 1992. The place was Kottayam, Kerala, a peaceful, quiet town in southern India. Kerala is known for its lush green landscapes, its backwaters, and its deep Christian roots. Christianity has been in Kerala for nearly 2,000 years. Churches and convents dot the landscape. They are the heart of the community, places of safety, faith, and hope. Among these sacred places was St. Pugh's ex-convent. It was a sanctuary where young women came to study, pray, and prepare for their future service to God. It had a hostel where nuns in training lived together, studied together, and dreamed together. It was supposed to be one of the safest places on earth. Sister Abhaya was just 21 years old. She had come to the convent to dedicate her life to God. She was studying at a pre-degree college, working hard to build a future in religious service. She was known as a kind, gentle soul. A dedicated student, a faithful servant. The other nuns loved her. Her family was proud of her. She had her whole life ahead of her. Like any dedicated student, she had exams coming up. She was determined to do well. So on the night of March 26, 1992, she did something very normal. She set her alarm clock for 4:00 a.m. She wanted to wake up early, study, and do her best. She went to bed like any other night. She said goodnight to her friends. She said her prayers. She closed her eyes and rested. But that night, something was happening in the shadows, something nobody expected. Something that would shatter the peace of that quiet convent forever. The alarm rang at 4:00 a.m. Sister Abhaya got up. She was tired, but she was motivated. She greeted a few of her friends who were also awake, then sat down with her books. The room was quiet. The world was still asleep. But after a while, she felt the need for a break. She got up. She left her books. She walked toward the kitchen. Maybe she wanted to drink some water. Maybe she wanted to splash cold water on her face to stay awake. She never made it back to her books. Next morning, something was wrong. When the other nuns woke up, they noticed Sister Abhaya was missing. This was strange. She was a disciplined, responsible young woman. She wouldn't just disappear. Concerned, they started searching. They looked in the prayer hall. They looked in the gardens. They looked in the dormitories. Nothing. Then they went to the kitchen. And that's when they found it. A water bottle with its cap open. Water spilled across the floor, and one of Sister Abhaya's slippers lying there, abandoned. Their hearts started to race. Something was very, very wrong. They continued searching frantically, calling her name, and then they found the other slipper. It was lying near the convent's well. Fear gripped them. One of the nuns gathered the courage to look inside the well. What she saw would haunt her forever. Sister Abhaya's lifeless body was floating in the dark water below. She screamed. People came running. Panic spread like wildfire. The police were called. The fire department arrived. After what felt like an eternity, they finally pulled Sister Abhaya's body out of the well. But here's what's truly heartbreaking. Just the night before, Sister Abhaya had shared dinner with these very women. She had laughed with them. She had talked about their plans and dreams. They had even joked about how loud her early morning alarm was. Now they were standing in shock, staring at the body of their friend, their sister, their fellow servant of God. Their peaceful sanctuary had become a nightmare. The local police officer, V.V. Augustine, arrived at the scene. He went through the motions of a standard investigation. He called a photographer to take pictures of the body and the scene. Then he sent the body for an autopsy. The doctors who examined her found something alarming. There were cuts and bruises on her body. She had a significant head injury. But despite the obvious trauma, despite the wounds and the mysterious circumstances, the official report listed the cause of death as drowning. And they marked it as suicide with the possibility of murder. Suicide. Let that sink in for a moment. A young woman who woke up at 4:00 a.m. to study, who set her alarm clock the night before, who had plans and dreams and a future. Why would she set an alarm just to end her life? It didn't make sense. The nuns knew it didn't make sense. The community knew it didn't make sense. There were too many questions. The fridge door was left open. The bottle's cap was off. Water was spilled. Her slipper was left on the floor. It all looked rushed, chaotic, and wrong. This didn't look like suicide. It looked like a murder and a clumsy cover-up. Sister Abhaya's death took place in a convent, a place where hundreds of girls came to study, learn about religion, and live in safety. Such a tragedy in such a holy place was deeply unsettling. The community was in shock, but what happened next would be even more disturbing. The investigation was bungled. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses were ignored, and it became painfully clear that someone was trying to hide the truth. Soon after the incident, activists, journalists, and concerned citizens began demanding justice. One activist, a woman named Joan Punus, formed a committee to seek answers. They pressured the authorities to take the case seriously. On April 16, 1992, just weeks after the murder, the case was handed over to the crime branch, a higher level of police investigation. For months, they investigated. They interviewed witnesses. They examined evidence. And in the end, they reached the same conclusion: suicide. By then, Sister Abhaya had already been buried. Her clothes were destroyed. Her diary was lost. Most of the crucial medical evidence was gone. It was almost as if someone had made sure the evidence would disappear forever. But despite the cover-up, the case had become a massive topic of discussion in Kerala. The media was full of stories. People across the state were coming up with their own theories. Everyone seemed to know something wasn't right. The nuns were unhappy. The activists were furious. The pressure was mounting. So the case was passed to a higher authority, the Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI. This was supposed to be the ultimate investigation. The CBI was India's top investigative agency. They could get to the bottom of anything. They launched a fresh investigation, looking for new clues and re-interviewing witnesses. For a while, things seemed to be moving in the right direction. Then something shocking happened. In 1994, a CBI officer named Verghese P. Thomas held a press conference. He had something to say, something that would shake the nation. He revealed that he had been under immense pressure to declare the case as a suicide. He claimed that powerful people had been leaning on him to close the case quickly and quietly. Because of this, he chose to leave his job almost 9 years before he was supposed to retire. He walked away from his career rather than be part of a cover-up. You can imagine the chaos that followed. The case became a national headline again. People were furious. Where was this pressure coming from? Who was powerful enough to intimidate a CBI officer? Why was this case so difficult to solve? The investigation continued, but the CBI team struggled. They had lost crucial evidence. They had no solid suspects. They carried out tests using a dummy doll the same size and weight as Sister Abhaya, throwing it into the well in different ways to see where it would get injured. They compared those injuries to the ones on Sister Abhaya's body. They tested different scenarios, but no clear answers came. In 1996, 3 years after the investigation began, the CBI submitted a report. It said, "We believe this should be treated as a murder case. We tried everything possible to find out who might be responsible for this tragic event, but despite all our efforts, we couldn't get any solid results." 4 years after the murder, despite the efforts of the local police, the crime branch, and the CBI, nobody knew what really happened to Sister Abhaya. The court rejected the report. A new CBI team was assigned. By 1999, another 3 years had passed. This new team reached a conclusion: Sister Abhaya's death was definitely a murder. The main reason for this conclusion was medical. Not one doctor, but a group of 3 doctors examined the body. They found several injuries that were not mentioned in the first post-mortem report. They had been missed or ignored. This changed everything. Let's go back to the day of the incident. Many nuns were at the convent. They noticed more injuries on Sister Abhaya's body than were officially recorded. The photographer who was called to the scene had taken pictures. Those pictures showed extra marks of injuries that weren't in the post-mortem report. The nuns themselves had seen them, but somehow, the official report told a different story. 7 years had passed. 7 years of investigations, reports, and dead ends. Finally, the CBI admitted what everyone already knew. Sister Abhaya did not take her own life. It was murder, but here was the next devastating blow. They said, "We know it's a murder, but we still don't know who the killer is." The court refused to accept this report. Again, another team was formed. In 2005, a new investigation was done. The conclusion was the same: the killers could not be identified. Again, the court rejected the report. By now, the activists were furious. Many conspiracy theories were spreading. Some media reports suggested the first investigation was poorly handled. Sister Abhaya had been buried too quickly. Her clothes had been burned. Her diary was destroyed. The post-mortem was incomplete. People suspected that powerful people were trying to cover up the truth. But who? And why? Then, in 2007, after 15 long years of investigation, a shocking revelation came to light. A new witness had stepped forward. Someone who had been silent for over a decade. Someone who held the key to the entire case. And here is the strangest twist of all: this witness was a thief. A petty criminal named Adhikar Raju. He had been breaking into homes and churches to survive. He had stolen copper rods and wires, sold them to scrap dealers, and lived hand to mouth. Could his testimony really be trusted? Could a thief be the one to bring justice to a murdered nun? Surprisingly, yes. Not only was his statement taken seriously, but it also changed the entire direction of the case. Raju admitted that he used to steal from different places. On March 27, 1992, the night of the murder, he went to St. Pugh's ex-convent with a plan. His goal was simple: climb to the roof, steal some copper rods meant to protect against lightning, and sell them. He arrived in the dark of night, ready to commit his petty crime. But what he saw there was so unusual, so shocking, that it stayed in his mind for over a decade. He noticed someone sneaking onto the campus, but this wasn't a thief like him. No, this was someone unexpected. A priest, Father Thomas Kotor. At that late hour, a priest had no business being at a girls' hostel. Raju also saw Father Jose Puthrakale and a nun named Sister Sephi. They were sneaking around the convent grounds. Raju watched from the shadows, confused and frightened. He had no idea what was happening, but he knew something was terribly wrong. Raju had a simple way of life. He stole, he sold, he survived. That night when he witnessed the strange incident, he felt helpless. How could he speak up when he was there to commit a crime? How could anyone believe a thief? So he stayed silent. But the next day he read about Sister Abhaya's death. He saw the police's comments about her case. He began to feel that something was truly wrong. He had seen something, he knew something, and his conscience wouldn't let it go. Adhikar Raju did something extraordinary. He went to the police and told them exactly what he had seen that night. Imagine what happened next. The police listened to his story and then arrested him, accusing him of the murder. They created a simple theory. Raju entered the convent to steal, ran into a nun, panicked, killed her, and threw her body in the well. It was convenient. It was easy. And it was completely false. Raju was held for 58 days. He was tortured. He was beaten. He was pressured to confess. He was offered bribes, money, a job, help for his children's schooling, even a house. All he had to do was say he did it. His scrap dealer, Shamir, was also tortured. Both of them refused. They wouldn't confess to a crime they didn't commit. Raju stood firm. The same petty thief from before, the one the police looked down on, became the only person telling the truth. The CBI now had two main suspects, Father Thomas Kotor and Father Jose Puthrakale. A neighbor who lived near the convent had seen Father Kotor's scooter parked there on the night of March 26th. He had gone to a nearby shop for tea, and when he returned around midnight, he noticed the scooter. At the time, he didn't think much of it. But later, he changed his story, saying, "I said that under pressure." He was one of many witnesses who turned against the case. But why was Father Kotor there? What was a priest doing at a girls' hostel late at night? Rumors began to spread. Father Kotor had allegedly told a friend that he and Sister Sephi were like a married couple. It was a scandal waiting to explode. Some nuns had discussed it among themselves. Others had shared their concerns, but no one had proof. Finally, in 2008, based on Raju's statement, the CBI officially named Father Thomas Kotor, Father Jose Puthricail, and Sister Sefi as the main suspects. The defense lawyer tried to undermine Raju by painting him as a professional criminal. He brought up about 10 criminal cases against Raju, but Raju did not deny his past. His honesty disarmed the lawyer. Even though he was a thief, Raju stood firm in his testimony, determined to seek justice for Sister Abhaya. All 3 suspects were sent to Bangalore for narcoanalysis tests, truth serum tests designed to extract the truth. The doctor in charge was named Dr. Malini. The results were recorded on 3 CDs, which were then sent to the Kerala Judiciary Court and the Kerala High Court. But here was another twist. The CDs were later found to have been tampered with. Dr. Malini was suspended. The narco test reports were incomplete. The CDs were sent to the Center for Development of Imaging Technology for analysis. What they discovered was shocking. The first CD, containing Father Kator's test, was 32 minutes and 50 seconds long and had been edited more than 30 times. Father Jose's CD was 40 minutes and 55 seconds long and had been edited 19 times. Sister Sefi's CD was 18 minutes and 42 seconds long and had been edited 23 times. Someone had deliberately altered the evidence. The Kerala High Court ordered the CBI to present the original CDs within 10 days. But just days later, the original narco test recordings were shown on a local TV station in Kerala. How this broadcast happened and who aired it remains a mystery, but the recordings revealed everything. On the morning of March 27, 1992, Sister Abhaya woke up at 4:00 a.m. It was warm, so she went to the fridge to get some water. While she was drinking, she heard noises coming from the kitchen. When she went to investigate, she found Father Kator, Father Jose, and Sister Sefi in a compromising situation. She was horrified. She had caught them in the act. Before she could scream or run away, they attacked her. Sister Sefi grabbed an axe from the kitchen and struck her on the head. The post-mortem report had confirmed head injuries. Then they dragged her to the well and threw her inside. They covered their crime with lies, pressure, and corruption. After the CDs were aired, the CBI started questioning all 3 suspects. But in 2009, shockingly, all 3 were released on bail. Father Jose was even cleared of any wrongdoing. From 2009 to 2019, countless hearings took place. The case dragged on. The families waited. The activists waited. Justice seemed impossible. Then, in December 2020, after 28 years, the Kerala High Court finally delivered its verdict. Father Thomas Kator and Sister Sefi were sentenced to life in prison. They were also fined 5 lakh rupees each. The court relied on the narco test results and the testimony of Adhikar Raju, the thief who refused to remain silent. Because of one man's courage, a thief who chose truth over comfort, one of India's longest-running murder mysteries was finally solved. What do you think about this story? A young nun murdered for catching 2 priests and a nun in a scandal. A cover-up that lasted nearly 3 decades. And finally, justice, thanks to a thief. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other injustices are hidden in the shadows? How many other victims are waiting for someone to speak up? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Justice may take time, but it always comes. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.